Start. Great. All right. And bring up the agenda. Did everyone like the PDF version of the agenda? I got a new computer and I realized I don't have the actual Word uh Office like physical thing. So I was like, I should send it out in a PDF because you can't always assume everyone has Word these days.
I loved it.
Great, great, Frank. I am glad you loved it. That's awesome. I did realize I actually did forget to change it to 2026. Oops. So I'll change that in the minutes. But yeah, all right, let's take the roll call. Um we'll go from the bottom. Eric Olson. May not be here. Kate Klein,
Here, present.
Rachel Scheckman,
Yeah.
Stephen Rutgers. He's here. Alex said he's unable to attend. Bob Colum. Column. Bob,
Talk.
you're here.
I'm here.
Thank you. Eileen Johnson.
Here.
Miss Karen Gall. Maybe arriving late. Frank Chauvin.
Here.
Yay, and I am here too. So with a quorum, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members. Yay begins. 7:05. Yeah. Great. Okay. Let maybe everyone can follow along in the minutes, or I can I'll just everyone just follow along at home and I'll just kind of run through it because I'm also typing notes here. Agenda, yes, we've got a pretty light agenda today. We only have there was one placard that came in, and that was for substantial change. It actually came in, I think, like right after our last meeting, and we could have even discussed it at the ANC commission meeting, but if you bring it up, the date for protest is February 9th. So our ANC commission will meet, have a chance to meet before that, so we can include it in this committee meeting and then vote on it at the commission meeting. And it is for a tavern with a substantial change from 38 to 69. More on that later, but that's our only placard that we have thus far. But yeah, I think we were talking about not meeting this month to give us a break because this is a pretty intensive committee group that meets a lot. But we were swayed to meet based largely, I think, on the discussion about the oversight, performance oversight hearings that are happening. And I don't know, for those folks who are less aware, the performance oversight, basically the DC Council every year holds public, well, their meetings are public, but these are specifically geared for times to where members of the public and ANC commissioners can submit testimony about the what the subject of that committees, the subject of that really like the governing bodies of DC. So a big one is like DDOT, the Department of Transportation. That's a big public hearing. Sometimes like the witness list is like 100 people and it goes like 12 hours. Department of Public Works is another big has a big hearing session, and then like this testimony is like compiled, and feedback and kind of the big notes kind of come out, and I think can have a big impact in terms of like the agency itself listening into what they can do to improve, and kind of what are things that the public is sounding on, that they can try to better be more responsive to. Then also the council to give some resources to better allocate resources to that agency. So they're coming up, and I'll drop did I drop a link in the agenda? Let's check on that. I don't know if I did. Yes. So they're coming up. So you can just check it out yourself if you want to, for any housing or transportation issue that speaks to you, if you want to sign up, or submit ring testimony. But I think we discussed maybe submitting some testimony, or kind of putting together some testimony for ABCA. But I checked the link. So if you check the link, and here it's actually there's no ABCA because, as we learned, ABCA was under the Economic Development Committee that was chaired by the council member who left, Councilmember McDuffie. So there is no scheduled council hearing for the Alcohol, Beverage, and Cannabis Administration currently. So I did some emailing today, and I found out that though there is like a replacement council person for McDuffie, the ABCA is currently actually under Brandon Doe. So it was actually kind of good because Rachel, your hand, was going to finish my rant in a second. Which is actually good because Nadeau is like Ward 1 council person. She also was a commissioner. So there might be a pretty good opportunity here to submit some testimony. But it hasn't been scheduled yet. So we're still kind of waiting to hear back on when that day will be. I think also DPW is going to be included there for Nadeau. So that's a big one. So that's definitely going to happen. I think it sounds like it's definitely going to happen. It's just a matter of we don't know when. Rachel, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, Stephen, two items. One, I just want to flag that Andrew Shapiro from the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs, Business Community Liaison for Wards 1 through 4 is in the audience. He put it in the Q&A. The second thing, and I don't see it on here, but I wanted to volunteer myself to write a draft of a letter of support for the Noise Balance Amendment Act, which relates to your conversation about McDuffie leaving and all that. I want to make sure that that doesn't get lost in the shuffle, and that we have it for maybe the February meeting potentially. I could draft something, then we could have some discussion on it, vote on it if it looks good to people, or take it back to drafting if it doesn't, and just get the ball rolling since we've talked about it at like the last several meetings.
I fully support that. I think that's a great idea.
Cool.
Yeah. I know we talked about it. I think that just we didn't. Yeah, exactly. We don't know where it's going to go. And I think following up on it, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, just to get something for people to react to. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want people to be able to react to it, give their opinions, and get it moving.
Thanks, Rachel. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I am here.
Hey, Miss Gall. Good to see you. Happy New Year. And
Happy
then
New Year to you as well, and Happy New Year to committee members.
Yes. And then also, I guess finally, Rachel, if you just like timeline, if you want to hash it out on email, share it with the committee before too, or just bring it to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Well, balls in your court.
I'll see where it gets to.
Okay. Sounds good. Frank, you also have your hand up.
Yes, back on the oversight hearing. I hope that we can proceed to draft the bullet points. for oversight, and that they extend further than just a few administrative items. Though I'd like to add one, including I'd like to ask Stephen that if for the first time, because this will be my fourth um, um, testimony, if I testify by on my own accord. However, this will be the second time I've seen, if you testify, that a committee chair testifies. In my 5 years, I've been watching this particular component of our business and of the performance oversight hearings. But what I'd ask is that we compile a list amongst us and make a suggestion to you, and you have it approved by the full ANC. This way, it's the weight of the full ANC. It's the great weight of the full ANC, and not just yours, because great weight comes from the full ANC, and great weight doesn't come from one commissioner, though your remarks are regarded. So I'd like to know that we could create a document, between now and 4 days before the commission's next meeting. Is that February 5th, first Thursday?
Yeah. February 5th is the
commission meeting.
Commission meeting.
Yeah. So that you could approve, the items, which I don't think anybody who's going to have any concern, regarding the substance, whether it's a full substance or a limited substance. But I'd like to hope that we can also, within those comments, talk about reform to ABCA code, and whether it has to be separated or not. I mean, this is performance, and the code is not performing to help us do our job. It's not performing to help the community sit around this table and have oversight of this process, have oversight of licensees, have change made to processes and protocols and the law that does not adhere to improvements of the neighborhood. So I'm hoping it's probably dual purpose. If we have to separate it, some of it's simply administrative, but some of them would be code related. And then if they have to be separated, that would be fine, if that makes the most sense. But I'd like to add at least one item tonight, and that is that the ANC get $150 every time, and it could be a new charge. They do whatever, but recommending that the ANC get a $150 charge to help administer the hard work, the full work of administering the neighborhood agreements per se, and the activity and the acts and the continuing proliferation of neighborhood based operations, which we oversee. And because it's so extensive and expansive and so difficult, because we have 140 licenses within 1B, if that's the last number.
Somewhere around there,
yeah. It's quite substantial. And I haven't used my AI to say how much we have in front of us versus any other ANC. I'd like to compare that, but it's slightly irrelevant. It's that we have a nightlife district that hasn't been managed, continues not to be managed, and continues to overwhelm anyone who's afraid to come here, anybody who lives here, and anybody who operates here. So again, I'm suggesting and hoping we can proceed with a larger framework for testifying, and that we can get approved by the ANC for full ANC weight.
I think that's a great idea, Frank. I think that's a great idea. I think what we were saying in the beginning, I think of that, laying out the process, I'm with you 100% on. I think that's good. I don't think that's been done before. And I also think would be good. And I would love to testify. I'm kind of planning on that. As having experience as a commissioner too, I think we get a little bit more weight in the testimonies. And as a chair of an ABCA, I think ANCs don't even have like an ABCR committee. So Definitely, yeah, definitely would like to do that. Um, and I think that there would be other people at the ANC who would weigh in on it too. And I think the timeline would look good too if we could, use this meeting to brainstorm some bullet points, then maybe draft them. ANC can be um, reviewed on them too. Then we could the ANC could vote on it. Then we could that would look great. That would look good. I think it's a great plan. Um, yeah, I think that's a great plan. Um, would anyone before we just brainstorm, like would anyone else, like it seems like Frank is interested, but is anyone else interested in being part of the testimonial drafting of it? Like, if we find there's like, two or three other commissioners who are interested to just like have, some emailing going on, just a poll here of other people.
I'm happy to weigh in. I could also sit down with Matt Fay potentially and talk to him about testimony since he's been doing so much work in this area.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Rachel. Um, yeah, yeah. And then I think, in terms of content, I'm not um, I'm sure there's a ton, Eileen, okay. I'm sure there's a ton of, things we could say. Um, I guess to get the conversation going, I was thinking initially, like, I think, especially because of the context of these hearings, that it's largely to the people who are listening are largely the council members who, most in cases, yeah, I guess they deal with legislation, but also like, resources and things like that, that I think I was like the first things I was thinking of, which kind of the administrative, like technical things that I think could be really improved on the ABCA side, like the website. I think there was like talk about they were going to update the website, but it feels like, other agencies in DC have updated their public facing websites, and ABCA's far behind. And that's not great. And then maybe we could include something about the code. I don't know so much about that. But and then of course noise in general and inspection, but trying to keep it, I guess, in scope with, more specific things rather than something that seems so onerous that they're like, how do I, piece this together in terms of what can I do to help? So yeah, so I was thinking about it a little bit, but yeah, I guess, yeah, open up a conversation. I mean, let's brainstorm what kind of things, what would we want to include in testimony here?
I mean, you made some good points. I think maybe talking about support for the Noise Balance Amendment Act and not letting that fall off. Getting UBCA to hire more, not even hire
Inspectors.
more investigators, but within the Noise Balance Amendment Act, getting them to be able to carry noise meters and enforce city regulations that already are on the books, but ABCA is not allowed to enforce around like noise levels in residential zones um, would be ideal because then like they could stand in an RF1 district and be like, well, it's 10 o'clock at night and it's 65 decibels out here on the street. This club's in violation. We don't need to do any of this. Oh, it's within 15 feet of a residence. Like, no, we have regulations. Let's get some enforcement and make life easier on these people so that they don't have to go into people's homes and that they have clear-cut evidence that the club was in violation. Like, um, and then again, just the sheer number of clubs and the need for financial support and maybe getting some of those fines put towards supporting the ANC since the ANC is doing so much of the work that frankly, like the ABCA Commission should be doing to a certain extent. Um, so
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to say one thing about Rachel, and then a follow up if I could. Rachel, our sort of fatigue with the fact that the noise ordinances and the noise code by ABCA has not been handled or managed, and they've been negligent. And I'll repeat that word, negligent. They were involved with the conversation when when DCRA transitioned and created went away and was replaced by the DOB and the licensing department. They unilaterally got rid of the nightlife sound. Let's see, it was called the noise task force that was set up because of these same problems that you've been describing. I mean, this is not a new issue, and it went away, and it went away because it might come back in some other form. But ABCA sure wasn't involved in its comeback because it's been missing for 3 years. So there's been a void in over management of this issue. And it just went away without telling anybody. This task force that was put together to do exactly what it's not doing, what we're not getting, and what everybody's failed to preserve our balance and rights as residents living next to commerce and nightlife operators. So I just wanted to make that point, and I might make something to that point in my testimony because it's just unacceptable. Everybody letting our neighborhood down, including ABCA, including DOB, including the licensing department. But then, secondly, that I want to add another specific item, and I have a whole list that I've been working on for 4 years, so I will be forthcoming with a substantial list. But one of them is that the violation of a settlement agreement, right? Any provision in a settlement agreement that's being violated by an operator is a level 2 offense or a level 2 violation in ABCA's book. That means it's not so serious. Well, I would like to assert that it is serious, and that we all sit around not just to look and smile at each other once a month and all of these years, but to have regard and to have tacit underpinning of good behavior. And if they're only, giving a verbal slap, which is what they often do for lots of violations, they'll say, "Oh, let's just give them a little written warning." No, there's certain things that should be not a little written warning. People should know that they need to be a good player, and I don't have all day to teach them, and they should get it more quickly than not. And so I would like to say that we ask, well, I will, and potentially we get it onto the big ask list for the ANC, but that all violations of a settlement agreement are tier 1 violations, because they're serious. And we don't just write all these and waste our time to not be taken seriously. And we're not. And we're laughed at. And we're not considered of import. So that's why so anyway, that's one of my points that I will be bringing forward there.
Great point, Jink. Ms. Gall's her hand up.
Yes, I've brought this forward over the years, and I got a little bit of pushback, but in this day and time, the climate that we are in right now, you can see why it's extremely necessary. One of the key points that I brought up was to make sure that we have training for the security and the owners within the establishments, to make sure that they have training that is regulatory for equity, and in regards to making sure they know exactly how to manage patrons in an equitable way, so that there's no security violations which will cause harm to the patrons of their establishments. I wrote up a considerable amount of a resolution, as well as a lot of whereas clause. This was a number of years back, and this day and age has shown that it was a huge foresight of that we should have that type of policy inside of APCA's, that everyone should have a training that allows for equity within each one of the establishments, without them causing harm to patrons based on their appearance in any way, shape, or form, and their which is their ethnicity, namely, and that they're not causing harm to their patrons, or trying to regulate that the patrons can't come in because of who they are, or trying to create or impose certain issues
Mhm.
with patrons because of their racial status, etc. And then there's the next part where I think within the policies of APCA, and I've said this a number of times, I think it's extremely important that the information that we have presented to us for the placarding time period, that we have the full information for the establishment owners, their history, etc., their contact information. That should be provided consistently. It should be a part of the record, that we don't have to go through a hunt down period to try to figure out who these persons are that owns and operates these licenses, and we know exactly the firm status of what the license is, regardless of the time period that they've, for whatever time period they've had it. So even if those licenses are in safekeeping, we know exactly where they are. We know who owns them, and if they've transferred, we would know the lineage of those particular licenses. I think that's extremely critical so that we can have the historical information. And then also, I would like to, not only with APCA, but just also within this commission, to not just have this blanket response to a popular establishment, that we ignore their past violations when they have a number of violations, especially if it's over 17. And I've seen it in this commission where it's just like, oh, that's okay, they're okay. That we don't get lackadaisical in how we evaluate. I think that we were trying to have some standard operation procedures this year, and I think we need to keep it even, and it's fair, with everyone receiving the same type of criteria, and not certain establishments receiving a partial pass, and then another set of establishments not getting, I mean, they're getting burnt up. I think that
Mhm.
everybody needs to get the same fair treatment, and I did not see that happen. I thought it was going to happen, and that's a disappointment that I'm looking at this year. But I think that there was some inroads that were made, but I really think that, and then also, as far as our committee is concerned, I think that the hard work that we put into this committee, because we really work very, very hard, and
Mhm.
putting a lot of energy into doing the research, because we've done a huge task in making sure that we're doing the research for, on behalf of this committee as committee members, and to
Mhm.
see that the thoughts and work that we've done, once it goes into the commission meeting, it's not being carried over. So I really think that there needs to be some firmness in this commission in regards to that. And just to see, as Rachel had put it earlier, to see the hard work that we put into this committee, because we've worked very, very, very hard, and to see that it's acknowledged through APCA, the work that's being done on the ANC level. Those are the things that I think are extremely important. It's effective, that it will make a huge change, not only in this commission but across the district as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gall. I think Rachel, you had your hand.
Yeah, one more point on that fairness aspect, and this might be more for our internal processes. I'll
Mhm.
let other people decide on that. But, something that came up at one of the commission meetings I went to, is that the term protest is something really scary to hear for the people
Mhm.
who are coming here before us, and it doesn't mean what they think it means. And coming up with terminology that is more along the lines of like the having it we're having it go to the full ANC for discussion or something like that. I think even though it's a small thing and it might not seem like like an equity issue, I think it really is, because like this is like someone's livelihood. This is someone's income. This is um, everything to them. And the amount of fear of losing your business and your funds from an extended protest, the need from a lawyer, getting people away from that allows them to operate in the world in a much more functional way.
Mm.
So just thinking about ways that we can improve the language so that and getting anything that we need a settlement agreement for to the ANC counselors at a sooner date so that we can get some negotiation happening if we need a settlement agreement without having to protest.
Thank you. Thanks, Rachel. That's also uh really good, and that kind of like gets at it's a little bit of like ANC, but then also the testimony for ABCA. Eileen.
Yeah, thanks. I do support taking the time to educate applicants about our statute, which provides for protests, but I'm not in favor of discontinuing using the word protest. It is in the statute. Yes, people are afraid. People are afraid of the word IRS or the term IRS and taxes too, but this is serious, and these operators have chosen to be in business in this area, and they have to follow the statute. So I'm not disagreeing with Rachel so much as saying I don't want to try sugarcoating what is our responsibility and what is their responsibility, and that it is a protest, and explaining what that means.
Yeah, point taken. Point taken. I think that is that's a good point too, right? I mean, it is. Yeah, that's a challenge to do, but at the same time, too, it like there is this stigma. So it's like maybe just more education, ways to elucidate. But yeah, I think even for the owners too, like they hear protests, like, oh my God, like they're trying to like shut down my whole, livelihood. And it's like, we just want to like have a agreement that you throw out the garbage more better or something. Yeah. So yeah, it is definitely challenging. But I'm taking down a lot of notes. Frank, you still have your hand up or?
Yep. Yeah, one more item, and then I'll be forthcoming with a big set of stuff after hours. But
Okay.
it's one's important, and everybody on this call will understand it, who's been here for 2 or 3 months at least. But that is the duty to perform is missing when a license is transferred or sold. The duty to perform is not enunciated and not solid, so that when a license is sold or transferred, the settlement agreement is not updated. And we have 2 or 3 before us. We can blurt them out readily. Stephen, I think Ace Lounge is one of
Ace
them.
Lounge, it's a big one.
I think
The
that
Rush one with the Law Society.
the Rush one with the Lost of Society, the U Street, MK on U Street and Dirty Goose. All right. And the list goes on. And it's just unacceptable. There is no duty to perform on that issue. And it should stand on the backs of the person selling it and the person buying it, because basically all the language has to be converted, and it should come back to the ANC saying, here's verbatim what was in the last one. Here's a comparative Word document. Please sign, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we shouldn't be chasing these people down, and we shouldn't be having settlement, I'm sorry, protests. I think we have several protests that might not even be needed because we didn't know, because it's been 2 times removed of a transfer of a license, right? Let's go back to Ace. Ace was pizza, and pizza was sold to Broccoli. Broccoli was sold to Ace. Okay, and so it just gets complicated, and this is overdue for a change. So, let's elucidate that for the record.
That's a great point. I think that's a good one. Yeah, especially when they make such a onerous that the settlement agreement's like tied to the address, and it's like the address stays the same, but then the settlement agreement isn't like looked into in the new licensing. It feels not fair, and yeah, should be done. Should be done. And it's like an easy thing to do, I feel like. Yeah, I think that's a good point, and that's definitely frustrating. All
Just
right,
a
Miss
point of
Gall, final
clarification.
point here.
Actually, it wasn't a point. I was asking a question.
Okay.
I'm interested in knowing exactly what your. If I did gave you. I gave you a few points. I've heard feedback from the other points that were made from the other committee members. I didn't hear your feedback from the ones that I made. I was just curious as to what your feedback was and whether or not you captured fully what I said.
I tried my best. I tried my best.
So can you restate what I said so that I can know that for a fact?
Yes. So I got two kind of areas of notes here. So I think in the area for like testimony, I wrote down that, equity training for security staff could or should be required as part of licensing and establishments. They're public facing staff and they represent the district in a way. And there should be some baseline equity training in them. And then the other stuff, Ms. Gall, actually it prompted me to create a new kind of SOP column, which I guess will going to be our next segue. Talking about like the fair treatment of businesses and like trying not to be arbitrary. And then, yeah, as you said, like the work that we do, a lot of really hard work. And that like there's kind of this little bit of this still these gaps between the work that all the input and the recommendations of the committee sometimes it's not always voted on the same way that by the commission. I mean, the commission does have a final say and does have other things to consider, and is weighing these things at 4.5 hour long meetings too, amidst other things that the commission is weighing. So there is that, but I think a sense of respect and differential treatment to the committee is something to note.
But the major point also was the information sharing from APCA to
Yes, that's another
that
one.
was
I forgot about
extremely
that.
important.
I forgot about
That's
that.
the reason why I asked you
Yes,
to reiterate what I said because I want to make sure that you captured
I
everything.
did capture that, and I made an extra star next to it because that's something that I think you've brought that up so many times now that I included it in the agenda here. And I thought it came from me, but it came from you because we've been talking about it so much, and I think we're definitely in agreement about that, and that's a huge point because I think it will just make the engagement easier, especially with like the protest stigma. So that's a huge one. That is a huge one.
Okay, that's the reason why I asked. I just wanted to. I didn't hear you reiterate anything after I made my statement, and I just wanted to get that feedback. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you, Ms.
The,
Call.
the chairman or the director already agreed that we deserve all the information that we
Yeah.
need, and he promised us that in the July. He promised the ANC that in July of 2025
And it
when he
hasn't happened, and that's the
right
reason why I
right
reiterated it again.
Yeah.
and so right correct, but he's promised everybody loudly and hasn't had any fault. Well, actually, he did have follow through, Stephen, and that was that we could give. There was one contact in his licensing division who, when the placard was produced, we could go to her and she would give us the rest of the information. So that was the answer.
But the goal was not to have to do all this deep dive, and we should have that should be part of the dashboard. That should be part of any of the information that's provided, and that's automatic. There's a lot of different things that you have to do, and they have, and I mean, it can go along with their website updates, but we need to make sure that the full information packet is provided.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then also I think that it's important that the trainings, the safety trainings that I'm referring to, should also be clear that these particular establishments have that they've completed these trainings, and what other trainings that they've done, you know, for their establishment, because I know that's part of their safety protocol. But there's some specifics that I really want to see, especially with the history that we have with some of these establishments along U Street, particularly. Thank you.
That's great. That's really great, Ms. Call. Thank you.
Karen, you're really inspiring me tonight. Oh, one thing I want
Yeah.
to note to build off of what you said, and the thing that I think needs to be in there is that we shouldn't have to FOIA the investigative history.
Well,
And
yeah,
I know that's implied in what Karen was saying, but I think like specifically in that packet is we should be getting the full investigative history and we shouldn't be digging because we're volunteers, they're paid. They should be providing it right from go. It should be a full packet with all the information, no FOIA needed. And it shouldn't
Exactly.
just be the investigative history, it should be every call of complaint.
Thank
Because
you.
the investigative
yeah. I
history
agree.
means
The
nothing.
noise, the fact that the noise is not found there, you have to FOIA for noise specifically. And then even the times I FOIA'd for noise, it was really honestly abysmal what
They
they
didn't send me
sent
any of
back.
what I needed. They
Yeah.
had sent it half of what I needed. When I asked for more information, they told me I needed a new FOIA request, and it was right before our big meeting.
Oh my God.
So, like that, they are paid. They are employees of the city. They should be doing that legwork when a new settlement agreement or like a renewal, a placard is up for renewal. If there is a new placard, we should be getting all of that information
It
from
should
them.
be part of the dashboard. If it's on the dashboard where you see all of these things clicked off, and as soon as you pull up the information, it should already be plugged in,
Mhm.
and it should not, and you we should never have to worry about it because it should carry over behind that license. That license number, as well as the establishment owners, they should have that carry through. That's the legacy information that I was referring to. So, thank you, Rachel, as always.
Thank you.
Hmm.
I wouldn't have even thought about it, but it's such a needed change. It would make this whole process so much easier.
You're right. You're right. You're so right.
And so are you. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
I'd like to just add one more
Okay.
point.
I want to keep us moving along, but if you could
Sure.
just keep this real short.
Sure. I just like to ask any folks that are new here if they would consider knowing some of the issues and or I mean knowing some of the issues or not knowing anything besides what we talked about during participation by Bob, Caitlin, Stephen, I know, and I think there's one other gentleman who's missing. But if you would consider testifying, it would be helpful and appreciated. And if you need help on any points or any content, I'd be happy to help. Because the issue is, last year it was only me. The year before it was me and one other person from Ward 8. The year before that it was me, the chair of this committee, and another person. So I'm just saying they
Those are the
don't
only
get,
people who testified in the whole
yeah,
hearing.
yeah. So there's not enough commitment or understanding or knowledge. So, and the commitment would be this: if you decided, or if you would at least please consider testifying, that you'd have to just follow the hearing, follow the hearing during that day. So sort of just keep it off to the side. And when you're called, you have to give 3 minutes presentation. I guess, Stephen, the electeds, such as yourself, get 5 minutes to testify. Everybody else, being commoners, we get 3 minutes. So just
organizations
to
and
consider
elective
that. Yes.
organizations also get 5 minutes. I always get 5 minutes.
As you duly should, Ms. Call.
Frank, this is Caitlin. I would consider testifying in front of the committee when the date gets posted.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin. Appreciate that.
Great. All right, awesome. Okay, I'm going to keep us moving along. This is great discussion, and then so I'm going to type this up, and then hopefully, we can recirculate as a document within the committee, and then also work with the ANC and some of the commissioners too, and we can get something that's a little bit more, whether it is just leave it as the bullet points or a more just a full on script, I guess TBD, but I'll at least type them up and see if there's any things we missed or anything I didn't quite capture. And I'll send that out by next week or something. Cool. Okay. Moving along. We have let's just do a quick update on like the active protests. A lot, a lot of active protests. I actually think Rachel, someone followed up with us recently about our active protest with Flash. And
I
so,
talked to Matt today.
okay.
He said he's close to reaching an agreement with the owner that may include language like specifying actual numbers for the limits, which we weren't able to get during our last protest.
Mm,
We got more of a statement of keeping it reasonable and some promises from him. But
hmm
this would be like potentially an actual decibel level, definitely for the regular sound levels, but also potentially for the bass.
hmm hmm hmm
So
Yeah,
looking promising.
I think I was with Matt. I have to give commend to Commissioner Fay. I mean, he had this idea to just go and like you can download a decibel reader app on your phone, and then you can just you can work with the business to play the music as they normally do, and then have it be like recorded on the decibel thing on your phone. And it's like kind of amazing. It's amazing.
Hmm.
It's kind of incredible. Yes, well,
Oh,
I was with them too. I was behind Flash. I did hear the bass. And met with the owner. It was a little hard. It was like at one point I feel like he did something. There was like a door or there was a window that he closed that or opened or closed, and like when it was open I feel like it was louder, and when it was closed it was also less loud.
I
But
think I was there that night. I was outside giving feedback about him not playing the bass at the actual level that they usually have it at.
mm, mhm. um yes, but let's follow up offline because I think the ABCA protest officer emailed asking for just like a written aspect to for protest. I don't think we might not go to protest with them on the Flash, but yeah, just to circle back on that, it'll be good. But yeah, it sounds good. It sounds like there's progress there, which is awesome. Andrew raised his hand. Sorry, some stuff going in the chat. Two. Okay, did ANC? Yes, I attended the status. I would think it was a oh, was it status? Oh man, I don't even know. I attended a roll call on
Roll call.
Tuesday.
It was roll call.
Okay, I attended the roll call. I attended the roll call. I was there at the roll call. Yeah, I got to follow up with that gentleman. Because hopefully I can just talk to him about it for yes, and yeah, for our protest for our items for MK on. Then I think Alex is not here, but Alex sometimes has insight into those Ninth Street alley. Like, is there anything specifically about the MK on Ninth Street that was a concern? Or we just need a settlement agreement with them? I kind of forgot.
The two issues: trash, which is endemic to that whole
Mhm.
block.
Yes.
Secondly, that the current settlement agreement needs to be adopted at least. Perhaps this is a minimum step that could be taken at not much expense or human capital or time here. But there's a settlement agreement that's with a party of 5 or more for that address. And so we don't have one for the ANC. So perhaps we could just mirror that and say, here, let's get our name on this.
Yeah.
And call it a day with an additional, perhaps elucidated, clarified trash provision.
Yeah. Yeah, and then an update with that is like we're trying to organize like another walk meet with the Posh owner and Appio and maybe the Ninth Street Business Association owner, um, to just kind of help clarify whose area is who and what responsibility is what and what the garbage process is while we're still working through this larger like the building and the easement and everything like that. But yeah, it seems complicated. um I think another, yeah, we're gonna try and meet again, and maybe we can ask MK too. But uh, yeah. Then so someone's hand was up. Actually, yeah, Andrew, are you still in here?
Uh, Yes, I'm here. And I have been following. I don't know if I've met you all. I just came across this from one of the mokers who suggested that I come. I'm a new position in the mayor's office. But I'm glad that you all are talking about that. This is one of the things that I would be dealing with. I have noise complaints in other neighborhoods not far away. I have actually done when I first got on last month. I went and did some of my own reconnaissance. So I just wanted to introduce myself and then chime into this part of the conversation to say I would love to follow up, to go on one of these, to kind of be there to see, be another arm of engagement. Part of what this position is designed to do, and it came from the mayor's office of nightlife and culture, um, is to be a liaison from the businesses, the community, the ANC, the business associations with the mayor's office, in hopes that we can help both elevate getting you know these issues and conversations where they need to be, and then find ways to address them. And so obviously noise complaints are a big issue in nightlife zones and areas like that. And so hopefully, and one of the things that I can help facilitate is a better process of um inspectors, noise inspectors. This is not an uncommon complaint, and obviously there are a lot of nightlife businesses, and so we want to make sure that we're helping to keep the peace, but that power also lies with council to legislate, to kind of tighten up and clean up some of the legislation around the noise ordinances. So um, in any event, this position largely helps is just
Can you tell
like a
us what the position is? Because I am not clear. I'm sorry,
yeah,
Andrew.
I'm about to okay. It's like a business moker. So the idea is if a business had an issue, like a deep issue with an agency, like OTR, license, DOB, and we would be kind of, we would not help them per se with like a license application, but if they had deeper issues um, getting through to an agency, if they have, tax issues, if they have things where getting elevated to somebody in the mayor's office can really help get them to the right place, or help address the issue. That is kind of what this position is designed to be. If like uh, water or gas, set up in the street and businesses can't get into their building, or they don't give the community association or the neighborhood association or the ANC notice that they're doing that work, then you could reach out to me and say, please let them know that we need X amount of time. The idea is just to kind of be a problem solver, a point of contact to help, you all solve problems, the businesses solve problems, and to hopefully minimize kind of say the bureaucracy and getting these challenges dealt with. So does
I'm
that help a
sorry.
little?
I didn't know the name of the position. Maybe
Mm.
I'm
It's
clueless. Your
okay.
name, your name, your position, the office, all that kind of stuff. I apologize. I must have missed the memo somewhere. I apologize.
He's new
um
to all.
I didn't, I put it in the question and answer when I arrived, that but my name is Andrew Shapiro. I'm the business community liaison, the mayor's office of community relations. This is what used to be the mayor's office of nightlife and culture. That office was kind of condensed down to community relations office. And then they turned those positions into what are called business community liaisons. So there's one for wards 1 through 4, and then there's one for wards 5 through 8. And so um, it's a new position, so there isn't like this is an existing thing. So part of it is kind of feeling out, okay, these are the right sets of things to work on. These are better suited for a different place. But I'm just going around to meetings to both introduce myself, get a better sense of the issues, and then to be able to offer where I can support and be a resource for you all if you need help. And I have been taking notes on things. I feel like what should stay here will stay here, but ideas that, I can kind of keep in the back of my mind, I can elevate, I can bring up when I'm meeting with agencies or when I'm interfacing with agencies, particularly like DLCP and DOB. So I'm keeping, a list of some things that for my own notes to hopefully help you all with, as you're working through these things.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you. I have some idea now. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a new position. So there isn't like this has been something that's been done. Part of it is responsive to things that come up. So where issues arise, bringing me in to help. Part of it is there are these existing issues. Noise is a huge issue in the nightlife communities. Between resident complaints, obviously the ANCs in terms of making sure that the agreements are enforced, and obviously you all hear the kind of the first line of complaints on
Mhm.
all of that. So the idea is to sort of you all get an issue with a business and then you can bring me into the fold, and then if there are places where I can directly help, if there are places where I can elevate it to an agency or bring in people or say, hey, look, this is happening in like 4 neighborhoods. We really need to, the idea is to hopefully, you know,
Yeah,
be a place to do that. The mayor really wants to
Is
kind of
there a
clean up.
that's
website? Is there a website for it, Andrew? I mean, like say for instance, you have an email link, a website, an email, all that kind of stuff, so that we can correspond with you.
yeah, Andrew.
I,
Just
I
if you put your
I'll leave.
information in the chat and then a website too.
I will leave my information. I don't have a website. It's just it's the community affairs website, but
Okay.
there's nothing directly related to this position. I'll leave my contact in the chat so you all have that. That's probably going to be the best way. I mean, I'll give you the website, but there's nothing on there I think that has anything yet about this position. The website itself may be a little bit not reflecting all of the changes that have happened in the past couple of months in the mayor's office of community affairs. So just be advised there. But
Okay.
I'm not sure that there's anything about
Okay.
this position there. But email is the best way. I'm also out in the community 3 days a week. I'm meeting with business owners. I'm if you all have an issue, you can. I'm happy to go out to
Yeah,
um,
that'd be great, Andrew.
yeah, to
Do you
meet
work
with
with
the
Alex
business owners.
Pedro too? Do you work with Alex
Yes.
Pedro? Is he also in
I,
your team or?
no, no. He is the director of the Shaw Main Streets.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But part of it is I is assessing, okay, you M&K Lounge, for example, has an issue with their trash. Um, it may mean a little bit more with me going in there, you know, with my business card or badge and saying, hey, look, I'm not, this is friendly, but we just want to make sure, you're aware of X, Y, and Z. Then if I have to identify a place to either help, identify whatever from there, that's the
Mhm.
goal. And or if it's a business that has a main street, ideally, the main street director should be helping kind of with the lower level stuff. And
Yeah.
then I would bring in Alex. I guess he covers most of your territory, and the U Street Main Street director to just say, hey, what do we, this might be better for you, or I'm queuing you in here, or if that makes sense. So,
That sounds
I,
great. Yeah,
yeah,
that sounds awesome. Thank
okay,
you
Yeah,
for
your
being
phone
here.
number and email is
yeah,
perfect. I
okay,
have a lot of stuff that I can loop you in on. Thank you so
okay,
much.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
have
Just and I will tell you if it is something that is under my purview or not. And if it's not, if I can offer the best place to go, I will. If it's an issue that I know, like I can't really do anything about that, I'll let you know. But just be
I
advised
understand.
I,
that,
I,
I
I
Yeah,
have
understand.
thanks, Andrew. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I have a few questions, if you would, please.
yeah. I was just gonna say one thing is
Yeah.
just be advised with the potential snow this weekend. If I am slow to respond, it is because
Yeah,
we are overwhelmed with snow readiness stuff and just all that kind of stuff.
Sure,
we
But
all
I
sure.
will
will get
be.
back to you.
Sure. I'd like to know a few answers, Andrew, if you would. Has the mayor's office of nightlife and culture been rearranged, and is there no longer a director? Is that official? And can you tell me
Yeah.
how many colleagues you have? And are you in that office, or has the office been disbanded?
Okay. So that there's a general reorganization of all of the mayor's offices of community affairs. So the mayor's office of nightlife and culture does not exist. Two of the three positions in that office were kept, and then they were transitioned to what are now what I am, which is the business community liaison. There is no director of that office. It is just under the Office of Community Affairs. And then under the Office of Community Affairs is the Office of Community Relations, which is where the Mokers are, and then where we are housed. And there are now also two new positions, which are called faith liaisons, that work with religious institutions. Not quite as germane to this discussion, but they basically kind of rearranged a number of different things, but to make them more kind of community facing, and work directly with businesses and other community institutions.
Sure. And a follow up or two here, please. I'd like to know is the assistant or vice director still there? There was a woman in that position, or is she been reassigned?
No, I that so nobody that was in the prior mayor's office of nightlife and culture is still working in the mayor's office of community affair.
Okay.
Um, Everyone they all stepped down. There are two new people. I have a colleague that covers wards 5 through 8,
Yeah, I hear
and
you.
then
Thank you. Thank you. And
yeah,
then I'd like to know I have two last questions. One, there's been a decade long, 2 decade long problem with trash up and down U Street. Um, can the mayor's office have anything to do I'm going to say make, because I find that our U Street, Main Street, and several others have been deficient in performing a service to the community, so that we don't have rats crawling in our house, so that we don't have rats
Okay.
scurrying by and trash. And I'm wondering, can you work with U Street, Main Street to get them to manage an improvement in trash up and down U Street? Let me ask you that. But my last question will be, can you let me know? I'm a little confused because you sound like you work for the businesses, and you're sort of using us as as a sounding board and feedback versus working for us. So you're really working for business, all right? And please correct me if I'm wrong here.
okay. No, I work in the mayor's office, so I work for the mayor. I am a business community liaison, so I am like a coordinating point to communicate and coordinate, between businesses, community organizations, the ANCs, and then the other agencies that are germane to businesses. So I work for the city. I am here to
Yeah,
be
yeah. I think yeah.
an
Just if you're an
outpost.
advocate more for businesses or more for community members, I
Okay,
guess is the question.
I'm not an advocate for either. Okay, I'm not. That's not what this role is.
Hmm.
I'm a liaison to the businesses from the mayor's office, and I am working with community organizations, ANCs, business associations to basically help businesses you know, with issues related to city agencies, with issues related to like
Quality of life. Yeah, that sounds immensely
not
helpful.
quality of life, like
Not
no,
quality
no,
of
it's
life.
very strict. Issues related to like
Permitting.
water, electric, like the public service
Mhm.
utilities.
Yeah.
Okay, the Mocher would still handle the like community quality of life type, that type of stuff. This is strictly to basically be a person that works between the businesses, the community, and the agencies to convey stuff with them and then help them deal with those issues within all the agencies, whatever agency or is germane to that issue. Does that make it
Great.
sound a
So
little
you're
bit
the
okay?
navigator. You're the
Yes.
navigator. You make sure that there is ease in everything dealing with that there's no gaps. You're the person to call
Yeah.
if we find that there's a gap in something, and you help businesses navigate and associations and anybody that's really except for the moker's position. You're basically the gap filler. You help all that stuff out. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Just like a
I,
bid would do in an area.
I,
Yeah.
yeah,
Am
it's
I
not
correct?
I don't yeah, I it's not like I'm not necessarily helping um what we're trying to do, I mean, the term the mayor uses is get stuff unstuck. So
Right.
I'll give you an example. A business in your district, in your area, had uses Toast payroll, and I've already been working with them. Toast was collecting their taxes, their payroll, their unemployment insurance taxes, and then their paid family leave. Toast was then not paying that to DOES and OTR in the correct places they should have been doing that. The business was under the assumption that they were paying those taxes because that money was being taken from the business's account, but Toast was remitting that money back to the business every month in their general sales ledger. So as a result, the business has all these tax penalties, fines that they have to pay. They can't get their clean hands. So I had been working with them and I helped elevate to somebody in OTR. I helped connect them to the Office of the Taxpayer Advocate and got them set up with somebody. And then I helped connect them to um, um, DOES to make sure that they had somebody deep within DOS that could help them. So the idea is to kind of help get people to the place they need, the businesses to the place they need to be. So you all have an issue with a business. You would bring in me to say, hey, this is the issue. Okay, let me think what I can do to help you guys move it along, get it to
Hmm.
the right place. But like, I would not, you know, solve the problem. Does that make sense?
Right. It
Okay.
does make sense, Andrew. And I think we've talked about your job a decent amount now and
Okay.
have some
Yeah, I'm happy to go.
examples.
Okay.
We've got some plenty of examples offline. So we got your
Okay.
information. Thank you for being
Okay.
in attendance. And we will talk soon because they got a
Yeah.
lot of
One.
examples we could work
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. One last thing is, I'd love to do a walk in the area if you all want to connect with me offline, and we can just set an afternoon to go around for a couple hours. You can identify the things that you're bringing up. I'll make
Hmm.
note of them, and then I can that would be a good way also to deal with some of these things.
Great idea.
Okay.
Love
Thank
it.
you very much.
Okay.
I
Thanks,
like
Andrew.
what before he
I
goes, Andrew.
appreciate
Can
Andrew
we
coming
do a
in.
night walk instead
Yeah,
of a
that's
day
fine.
walk?
That's
Because
fine. Yes. Yeah.
that's when
Yeah.
all the action with that
Yes.
needs remediation goes on. Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And
And I
Andrew,
meant to say that I am available night hours. That was part of the reason in this was somebody that would be able to go out at night, you know,
excellent.
into the early hours, to a certain point. But yes, I am available to go even until like 4 a.m. I do it just because I know that's part of the businesses in this area operate until then.
Yeah.
Andrew, I have an issue that has been stuck
Okay.
that
You,
was
We've
that
been talking about Andrew
you
for a
can
while. We had a couple of last minute
give
email
me a
me.
second,
items, Miss
Stephen, and
Gall.
I'm just give me one brief second. And this it's in relation to this committee because we brought it up in the committee for 9.5 Street, and I really want Andrew to help us get this issue unstuck with the egress issue that we have behind 9.5 Street that has been a hardship for the establishments as well as the residents. And I think it's really important that he knows this issue. And Andrew, I would like to work with you on making sure that that gets resolved, because it has been an issue that I have taken on because of the simple fact that people have dropped the ball, and I really want you to help us work this out. So thank you very much.
Yeah, please email me on that, and I will respond, and we can go further from there on that.
I appreciate it. Thank you very
Okay.
much for coming in
Okay.
and explaining yourself.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Sorry, we've got just a quick want to finish up the meeting. And a couple more items here. I don't want to go on too long. We're already past that kind of hour mark, and I want to try to wrap this up in about 10 minutes or so. So we've been doing a lot of brainstorming, but I just to tap into the brains a little bit more here on kind of what the SOP ANC handbook guide is, what kind of things we can include in like an ABCR SOP that we can hope to come out with this year. So like some of the stuff earlier Ms. Gall brought up was like fair treatment across businesses, like the work the committee does and trying to be differential to it. And then also like another idea that I think Rachel mentioned, just like the ways to get a settlement agreement. We, maybe Andrew is a great example of, hey, like ways to do that early outreach. So it's like, we don't have to protest them, but we can call them, but, do we have any other ideas for just like, what else to include in this ABCR SOP guide, relating to some of these like internal issues and processes that could be like improved on in the review period?
Stephen, I think there's a little confusion here. I asked you for some clarification. There's already SOPs for this committee.
There is.
And yes, I mean, there's SOP. There's an SOP. And so I'm wondering if we should start there and look at it. I mean, it's about our purview. It's about what we do. And it probably hasn't been updated in 10 years. That's my estimate. Eileen probably can speak to it better than I could. For longevity, but I think we should start there, and everybody should just look at it, and we should send it out to the committee, because that needs some updating, I expect. So I just wanted to offer that as a suggestion.
I like that, and I'm going to follow up with that SOP. I'm going to try to track it down and send it to you guys. But that's a good way to kind of tackle this next steps. I didn't know about that. So thanks, Frank. And Eileen sounds like she said that sounds right. So that's good. I'll send that out. And there's no, we don't have a date for this, so we can keep that moving on. Cool. Okay. And thank you for the feedback too about how to get the essays and stuff like that. I think we got some good ideas, but we'll get moving on them more. All right, cool. All right, well, now new business section. So we just had this one placard. It's for a place on the 9th Street with facing the 9.5 or exits into the 9.5 alley. It's called Asufu's Palace. So it's a change substantial change from 38 to 69 for total occupancy. They do have a tavern license, but they have a restaurant sense vibe, I think, more. Their hours go late, but I think, and they do have entertainment, but my understanding is they operate more like a restaurant. I reached out to the owner. Fortunately, did not hear back from them. They do have some investigative reporting. They had like a third party or someone else was operating their license, and they were I might have like the wrong one. Maybe it's not this.
Stephen, I think you're correct, even though I can't find my copy. I think that's the violation they had. They allowed the premises to be carried on, the license to be held per se. Therefore, she gave up her oversight responsibilities, and I don't know how long it went on for, but I think they were in violation, and I don't know if they had an OIC, an offer in compromise. I don't know what the outcome was, but that's the first point. Second, I don't think they're a restaurant at all. I think they are a 100% of a nightclub. And thirdly, these persons never come before this committee in my tenure in 6 years, and I'd like to ask them to come before the committee and to talk about themselves a little, because they're an unknown quantity to the neighborhood. And so, but to allow for a license, which is in due opposition to their responsibility of being a good neighbor, to uphold the stature of that license. They went and they let someone else operate the place. And I tell you, I believe they were the signs, or they were the cause of much frustration from 9.5 Street folks who were blaming the upstairs neighbor, who is also not a great neighbor, with their noise blasting off of a uncovered deck outside in the back at the same address, 1920 9th Street. These folks are in the basement, and they haven't been great neighbors. They haven't been good actors. And I'd like them to come before us to get some questioning, and so they understand there's a neighborhood here, because I don't believe they live here. And they don't present themselves, and they haven't been good stewards based on that record you noted.
Ms. Gall.
I'm out of curiosity, whose name, who had to do the research on this particular establishment on the list?
I was able to pull it up when I was putting together the agenda.
Okay, so you
And
have
then,
the whole list of violations, because I'm curious to see what that looks like right now. If you
yeah, so I
did
linked
the
the wrong
investigation,
I linked the
which
wrong one. I think there was another one. Let's see if I can link to it in the chat.
but I know we had the Excel sheet. Nobody had it assigned to them to do the research.
Oh yeah, maybe this came into the Excel sheet. Oh, I haven't even thought about the Excel sheet in a while. It actually might have been mine, because I think I was first. Well, I did some research. And yeah, they had this board order that was not good. I don't know. Does this work as a link? That's not working as a link. Um, try this out here.
Can you share it?
Yeah, I just put in the chat.
I mean, on the screen, please, if you don't mind.
Okay. Okay, let's check this out here. No, this is still the board, the group of 8 party. Here we go. Cease and desist. And the ABCO website is here we go. Here we go. Here's the case report. Okay. All right, share. Desktop 1. Yeah. Through Chrome. Okay. Come on. 1 second.
Never mind if it's going to be too time consuming.
I'm sorry. I just got this new laptop, and it's like my privacy setting. Here we go. Here we go. We found it here. Here we go. We're rolling. We're rolling. Rolling. Findings of fact. So this is a pretty detailed report, but basically it's kind of what I guess Frank was saying and I was saying about the there was some damage. They basically had their license was being used by someone else, a Phoebe Beasley or something like that, and as manager, but she wasn't did not possess the manager's license, so they were in charge with and violating without an ABC manager. But it's not good. It doesn't seem like it's not a great look, honestly. There. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, they don't have a settlement agreement. So, I mean, I would like to introduce a motion based on this investigative history, that they are not following. There actually was a group of 8 protests, but I'm not sure where that has stood. But I would like to motion to protest this on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet, with the goal of trying to create a new settlement agreement with them, and also address some of these neighborhood concerns with the back alley and some of the noise.
I'll second.
And discussion, please.
Discussion.
Yes, it's important that we note they are in the North Shore moratorium, and that that I'm not certain what bringing another, I think, 100% increase in their occupancy, because I think they're 35, they're asking for 70. It's one small floor. I don't even know the square footage, but I think on the grounds of overconcentration and the fact that they're in the moratorium zone. And this commission, this ANC, and some of the protests that have been going on have raised the issue in front of ABCA regarding licenses in the moratorium zone. And ABCA has done no due diligence, and I have to use the word because it's my favorite word this evening when it comes to this topic. But ABCA has been negligent in providing to the board, the ABCA board, an investigative summary stating that these other 2 licenses that I'm referencing, that this ANC is protesting, and I've been in part viewing or afterward seeing the video of the protest, where ABCA has not even done an investigation to let the ABCA board members know this is in a moratorium zone. And I find that negligent and deficient on the part of ABCA and their administration. All right. If you're not letting the board know that the conditions and the milieu that this operator is in, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but a moratorium is a serious operating issue, okay, surrounding an operator and all the licenses within it. And if you're not providing the education to board members, all of them who are new, I've been around longer than all of them working on this issue, all the board, though they conceivably are required to have some understanding.
I think you can have a substantial change in the moratorium zone. I think we've seen that before.
Well, I think you
like
can, but doesn't mean you can't raise it and make it a point in the discussions. I mean, and let me just give one more example here. There's another target in my portfolio of ire here, because there's a operator at 1901 across the street from 1920, 1901 9th Street. We are protesting them, and I won't use the name. Everyone knows that address. But they have originally a 250 person occupancy. That's what they were granted. Okay. They have gone to Department of Buildings and doubled that to about 500 persons in a 3-story row house right next to 2 residences. And so while the plot deepens
lost you a little bit, Frank,
about the negligence going on in this neighborhood. Did you lose me?
I might have lost you. Yeah, maybe it's mine or not.
My point being, certificate of occupancy is important, and being in a moratorium zone is important, and those items should be regarded and reviewed, and what's the word for adjudicated within our discussions, to be reviewed during our discussions, because I don't know, I want them to go from 35 to 70, and they actually sit right next to residences. And there's no protections in the code.
That's
no protections.
Well, some of this gears on the testimony part, but I think we can add I don't know if we can add over concentration, because it's only, I think that's only new licenses, but we can add the moratorium zone to it.
Well, but the moratorium zone is the basis found over concentration. So we want that point to be litigated in our discussions and in our actions. So, we need to perfect it and how to get it and get this board's attention on that issue, because they don't regard it and they're not doing their due diligence when they're reporting, when ABCA is reporting to the full board during a protest and a protest hearing.
I think we can call it, we can call it overconcentration in the moratorium zone.
Yes, thank you.
Any further discussion on the motions? The motion is like amended to protest on peace, order, quiet, and over concentration in the moratorium zone.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Call to vote. All in favor of this motion of protest or recommending the ANC protest, please raise your Zoom hands. All right, that's 5. Thank you. All oppose? Abstain? The motion passes. Great. Okay. That was our agenda. So just under 90 minutes. Doing good. A couple of follow-ups here. So we got one motion of protest to protest. Follow-ups here are I'll type up some of these points made about the testimony, and I'll send that out for further wordsmithing and points that other people want to add to. I think Eileen, maybe you said you had something, so you can maybe get a chance to include it on the written. I'll send that over, and then also try and find before the next meeting, I'll try and find the ABCR SOP and send that over too as well. And then also before the next meeting, Rachel said she might have a draft for the Noise Balance Amendment Act too that we can discuss. And then in the meantime, if I find anything out about when the performance hearing is, I'll also let everyone know. I think Caitlin, you were interested in that too. Any other final words? Ms. Gall.
My final words was, and I never did receive this, and I don't know, maybe the other board members might have gotten it. I had asked early on, when we were trying to spec out exactly what we were doing to help assist outside of our deep research that we've been doing and working on these cases. I wanted to know, in regards to testimony and the web hearings, the WebEx hearings, we never did get a calendar or the invites to make sure that we can go to the roll calls. I had asked that be sent to each one of us, and it has not. And I think that it's critical that because we want to make sure that there's someone showing up, and we overemphasize that. However, the request was strictly made that we all receive a notification, and at least in our calendars, so that we can be participatory in this process. Nothing has been received, and I'm asking again. I know that you're the chair, and I know that we're just trying to help out. But I had volunteered my time, but received absolutely nothing. So I'm assuming you don't need my time, and I'll take it off the table. It won't be, especially at 10 o'clock in the morning, which you guys said you weren't able to do, and I had said, oh, let me carve some time out, but I'll take it off. It's no problem.
We could always use your time as a goal. We love to circle back on this. I think honestly, it's been a challenge trying to just deal with the 2 or 3 ANC members and our administrative staff and then ABCA to try and get the calendar invites. And then sometimes we create holds for the invites, but then it's not the link because ABCA hasn't sent that out yet, but then ABCA sends that out to a separate person. And then the ABCA only sends it out to different people. So it's been a challenge and confusing in terms of who has the links, that I think we haven't. It was a great idea. having including in you guys into the process was really great. But I don't think we were able to throw in the juggling, even though it maybe could have helped too. But and let's keep this conversation going in the future. I really appreciate you bringing that up again because that was a really great thing that you offered to do. So thank you for that.
Okay, so officially I'm not on the list, and officially I'm not volunteering, and we're clear on that, right? So that I just want to make sure that that's clear, so you have no expectations for any of us to participate in a roll call. Is that what you're saying?
We have not. No. I think I think we could bring it up for discussion in the future for future placard protests. I would like to bring it up again in the future. In our SOP discussion, I think. But right now, there's nothing on the agenda that we need roll call support for.
Okay,
But
thank you
that's what
very
it is.
much. But thank you very much, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Rachel?
So just maybe putting this onto your list of things for testimony or improving of efficiency is thinking about making ABCA more aware of the inefficiencies in their system for sending out invitations because it sounds like you really wanted us to help you, but because ABCA is not organized and are dropping the ball, they are sending the invitations to the wrong people. And not always accurate in who it's getting to. And so it's been a struggle for even the council members to get to these meetings because of the way that they're being sent out. Is that correct?
There's definitely some, yeah, that does play a role for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely maybe include that in your testimony.
And Chair, I need to make
Okay.
sure that you know that Rachel and I are symbiotic, so that
I'm just trying to help make sure that things are as clear as mud.
Oh yeah, we're working great today.
Because it sounds like the commissioner appreciates what we want to do to help, but that Abka has made that process very
Difficult.
difficult for him
Exactly.
to have us assist.
Exactly. And I think this would be the best time, especially when they're open to suggestions, to let them know exactly how they can be much more efficient. I mean, it's not the Doge for ANCs, but we need to do something.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys. This was a lot of really good.
Stephen,
Yep.
before
Oh,
closing, there is a operator on in the attendee list, and I'm wondering if he might have any comments. Jonathan, I don't know if you have any comments about any pending items that might be coming before you, or you're just here listening and you don't need to speak up if you don't want to say anything. But I was just following some licensing and I saw some day of permits, a 1 day permit for his operation go through APCA. And I want to make sure we're being helpful because there's an outstanding issue regarding soccer tournaments. So I don't know if he wants to say anything to us.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't want to extend this meeting anymore. Circling back to our opening up early for soccer tournaments to watch soccer viewing events.
are you Whitlow's?
Yeah, I'm Whitlow's.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
I didn't know I was. I didn't.
Yeah, I forget where we left off with this. I thought that Willows would be submitting a substantial change in license, but an amendment needs to be changed in the SA or something like that.
Correct. Yeah. So in order for ABCA to hear that or to even start that process, the the ANC has to approve or support that in the SA.
Mm.
So I can't do
Yeah.
anything or placard or do anything
Okay.
until that takes place. But I will say I've spent about $2,000 on permits to open up early for the events because I want to do the right thing and play by the rules.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you sent me that amendment, so we could take a vote. We could take. I think we might have taken a vote before on this, but we could bring it before the commission to change that SA. Do we want to take a motion? Do we want a motion at the committee level to do that? Um, let's motion at the committee level. So I'm going to motion that we support the amendment to change the SA for two things. For one, to update it to the correct address, I think was identified, and ownership identified for Whitlow's, not like Bricks or yeah,
Brixton.
Brixton, to the correct information, and then also to allow the operating hours to be earlier in the morning.
Wasn't there something with the
Discussion.
door too?
The door, yeah, something with the door, right? There's something with the door.
I need some discussion because I need to see things before I vote on things like this.
I think we've
Especially
already
this.
voted on it.
I need to see things before I vote on anything. I don't know what we're discussing, and it's just popped in on us. And I don't think that it's appropriate if it wasn't on the agenda for us to vote like this. I really think that we need to see it before we start voting on something like this.
It's
If I,
old business. It's old business.
We have dealt with this before.
Okay,
I wasn't.
I'm gonna reiterate what I said because I thought I was clear. I need to see what it is that we're voting on because I don't know what we're voting on.
Let me see if I can quickly bring it up an email.
can I speak? Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Go
Sorry.
for it.
I wasn't planning on speaking to it. I was just following along. The opening early, just to clear up a couple things, the Whitlow's is still, it's part of, or the LLC that owns it is still Brixton Pub. I just joined that ownership group, if that makes sense to clear that up. So technically it is the Brixton Pub LLC with DBA as Whitlow's, just to clear up. I know it's very confusing because there was the old address and whatnot for the 2014 space, but just to clear that up. But the door thing, I am excuse me, the door thing it's just a technicality thing, and I'm happy to provide pictures tomorrow to whoever would like to see them or meet with anybody who would like to see it. There's two doors. There's a vestibule, and all I was asking for is to change the wording so that one of those doors is closed at all times, so that when people are coming in and out of the actual front door that's on the street, because technically if they're both open, if someone's leaving, excuse me, it's considered a violation. If the doorman or security guard or whatever you want to call them is out front at the outer door by the street holding the door for somebody, and a guest is leaving in the inner door, technically that's a violation. I'm not sure when I acquired the space and acquired the settlement agreement, that's what it was. But I'm happy to meet with anybody or discuss it with anybody.
And Ms. Gall, I'm sharing it right now. I think we've sent this out before at some point in September, October. I mean, it was in the midst of all those other license.
My email works just as fast as looking at this. I like to see things before I vote on things, or I need to have a little bit more information personally, and that's why I asked for it. And I didn't want to vote on anything, especially just like right last minute as we were about to wrap up, and I was getting ready to have my dinner because I thought we were ready to go. And quite frankly, I prefer. Is there a timeline? Is there a deadline? Is there some
Isn't there a motion on the table?
There's a discussion too, Frank.
Okay, well, let's push. I mean, Mr. Williams, is it okay? I mean, I know. Can you reach out to us on email about this?
Absolutely.
Again, and maybe
and can
we
I
can deal
see
with
the
them.
information? And that way, if there's a deadline or any particular timeline that we need to meet, if that information is in front of us so we can see it, I'd appreciate that as a committee member who likes to see things clearly and do my due diligence to be fair.
Well,
All right.
I'd just like to say the following, that Mr. Williams is a good operator. Mr. Williams has been to the table about 4 times over the last year and a half. And for some reason, our process, the ANC process, sort of lost hold of a request that came in. And it was probably because the ANC changed. I used to represent this district that Whitlow's is in as an ANC commissioner. And because of the transition, we sort of dropped the ball. But we've since the ball was dropped.
We're gonna get the ball rolling again, Mr. Williams. Please reach out via email, and we'll be sure to share it with Ms. Gall, or we'll just bring it straight to the ANC. Is there a timeline you wanting to be open up for? The World Cup is like in the summer.
No,
right?
I don't want to waste anybody's time or take any more time up. I host a soccer club that Manchester City, and they have early games. So every time there's a game before my operating hours, I have to pay $300 to get a license to open up early. And they play every week.
Okay.
So
it just depends. I just saw in the record he's paid $300 over the last month to obtain an early permit. So that's why I recognized Mr. Williams here, because I saw it in the record that I follow every week, the adjudications and the administration by ABCA. They approved 2 $300 permits that are out of the pocket. So that's why I recognized Mr. Williams.
And this was new to the committee, this recognition, this pulling someone in and just speaking off the cuff for a particular establishment.
Chair.
Look, this was new to me today, and I've been sitting on this committee for quite some time, and this is the newest thing that I've heard today, and I wanted to make sure that we do the due diligence that was necessary. I want Mr. Williams to get the full depth of what he needs to receive, but I want to see the information. I want to hear, Mr. Williams, I appreciate you talking about what it is.
This has been said already.
Okay.
If you cut me off one more time, Frank.
I'm also getting hungry too. Kate, you have your hand up, and then.
Yeah. Ms. Gall, I understand and I appreciate that you want to make sure we're looking at this from the full breadth of the committee. However, before I was a committee member, this was fully discussed in a committee meeting because as a citizen of this ANC, I provided testimony on this meeting many months ago in support of this initiative at this establishment for the creation of a European Soccer League home bar. So I recall it. I spoke at it as not a member of the committee, but as a member of the public. So I just seconding Frank's comment that this has already been discussed.
I'm not trying to get the Whitlow's fan club. I want to see the information. That's what I'm trying to get. I want to see the information as I requested, as we normally request for all of our establishments. That's the way we do business. Okay.
It's very fair.
And we need to see the information. I need to know what it is that we're looking, what is that's being requested, what's the timelines. Those are typical questions. That's part of standard operating procedures is serving on a committee. Okay, and that needs to be done properly, and then also it just
I have a point of order.
It doesn't get thrown on anybody's lap as
all right. We're not voting on this. We're not voting on this tonight.
And I am going to continue saying what I'm saying without someone talking over what I'm saying. We need to make sure that we're getting that information clear to the committee members so that they can do their due diligence. And I am trying to do that. And I want to honor Mr. Williams' time. And even though he came in here and he said he wasn't even prepared.
Point of order. There's nothing new being said. You've made your point.
Speaking. He said he wasn't being prepared to speak tonight, which is understandable. What I would like to see is anytime we have any new business presented to us in this particular fashion,
point of order.
Okay, Frank, please. All right, Miss Gall.
That we have to vote on, that we have the information in front of us so that we can do our proper work as a committee members. And the next time that this ill action that's happening from committee member Frank Chauvin, which talking over.
We will not.
I think that is
meeting adjourned. All right, meeting adjourned.
I'm actually, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna put in a request on this because this was disrespectful. I do not think that that's fair to Frank.
Chair, enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
We're not voting on this. All right. I think the meeting is adjourned. Everyone's hungry. We need some food.
I'm actually going to put in an order for Frank's disrespect
Okay.
tonight. That is completely disrespectful.
Okay. Sorry, Ms. Gall. We have to. This is not a productive conversation of anyone's time, and we're getting angry and agitated, and people are getting hungry. So I think we have to adjourn, and we have to bring this up at a later point in time. But other than that, it's been a really great meeting. Happy New Year, everybody. Mr. Williams, please, just reach out to us on email again. I know this was a concern in the past. I don't think we understood exactly what needed to be done. I thought it was an ABCA thing, but it seems like it's an ANC thing. It seems like a very easy lift, but we just need to communicate and have that information be in front of us.
Sounds great.
But thank you all. Have a great night. Talk to you later. Okay. Bye.
I'm putting in a request tonight.